It's that segment where we get an expert insight or perspective into our conversation for today. Today, we will be doubling down, as Lilian had hinted, on our conversation around the president's approval of 758 trillion naira, actually. 58 billion naira in bonds to clear outstanding pension liabilities under the old defined benefit scheme, which existed before the 2004 contributory pension scheme, which has now lasted for about 21 years. Finance Minister Wale Edun disclosed after the 23rd Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja that the debt accumulated due to periodic wage increases. The move, managed by the Debt Management Office, aims to provide relief to pensioners. FEC also approved a 30 million long-term concessional loan. Well, this is part of all the briefings that we got from Mr. Wale Edun yesterday. But to do justice to this approval and to look at all of the underlying issues and how we can become better and avoid these kind of circumstances going forward, we have in the studio the spokesman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, a friend of the house, one whom we are confident that any time we knock at his door, we are very sure that he would answer us in the affirmative, Mr. Benson Upah. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning.
My pleasure, my brother.
You're welcome.
Pension issues are back on our radar. Not too long ago, we know how a number of pensioners relayed the office of the finance minister until some kind of approvals were made and their liabilities settled. Today, or rather yesterday, the Federal Executive Council approved 758 billion to clear pension backlogs, some of them dating back to over a decade, because of increases that have happened and that were not reflected on pension areas. Before we begin to dissect what went wrong and what did not, how did you receive that message from yesterday, and what is the general feeling of the pension community?
Well, we received this news with joy, and there is general excitement among pensioners that this is happening. And without any inhibition, I think the government is deserving of commendation for doing what it has done. This will be my initial take. But as you said in your introductory remarks, it is important to look at what actually led to all of this. Prior to the putting in place of the contributory pension scheme, we did have the defined pension scheme over the years, and it was working until a point when it was not funded. And even when it was funded, we had instances of fund diversion, fund misapplication, clear acts of looting and corruption, leaving behind a huge backlog and creating an army of victims, pain, penury, humiliation, death before death. So that created mass disenchantment, dislocation, and anger, not only among the pensioners, but in the general community, because pensioners live amongst us, they are part of us. And but beyond all of that, sending a dangerous signal to those in service that
this is how your end will look.
This is how you're going to end if you don't help yourself now. And I recall vividly taking a group of pensioners to a distinguished Nigerian secretary of Secretariat, SGF. He was SGF, and then I led this team of pensioners, and in the course of my introduction, I said, this one is blind, this one has a stroke, this one has diabetes, this one has a... So I have brought before you relics of humanity. Their only crime against their fatherland is that they served faithfully, they refused to help themselves to the resources of the state while they were in service. And this is the thank you. But I tell you, government is sending a very dangerous signal to those in service that this is how you're going to end, except you help yourself. Of course, he was new in office and he demonstrated commendable compassion. In fact, he was almost in tears. But, you know, but I think that time they tried to do what they could. But as you know, government comes and government goes. So we have this situation whereby our pensioners are humiliated and broken, and their family members also subjected to indescribable acts of humiliation. Compare this situation to what obtains elsewhere, where pensioners are treated like kings and queens. They have special places on trains and buses, trams and the rest. And if perchance those places are all taken and the pensioner enters, you and I will have to stand up. Okay? At airports, they're giving privileges and all of that. Because these people gave their best to their countries. So why would you want to humiliate them when they are now most vulnerable? And come to look at it, even when they pay pensions once in a while, issues of harmonization of pension, harmonization is there. Issue of a regularization, that is review. Anytime there is a salary increase or whatever, pensions are supposed to automatically follow. Government has not been doing that, doesn't do this. And then to add salt to injury, you have governors and presidents, or governors, ex-governors and ex-presidents paying themselves humongous pensions for serving for 4 years, some less. Even if you serve for 8 years, there are rules governing payment of pensions. The old rule was that you had to serve for about 15 years.
That's right.
Later, IBB changed it to 10 years. Okay? And then you come as governor with all the perks. You never paid for food, never paid for accommodation, you never paid for transport, never paid for anything. You are leaving office and you want to be paid so billion, and you want to be given so many so houses, a number of SUV vans and so on and so forth. And these guys who slaved away, who paid taxes, who did everything to make you comfortable, you think nothing of them. I think it is, in fact, I tell you, it's been an act of insensate cruelty. In fact, it's a crime against humanity.
Right,
the way our pensioners are treated.
Now that this has been, the backlog has been addressed, a lot of Nigerians are commending, but there's still skepticism in the heart of people. And you spoke about corruption and the signal that has been sent to public office holders.
Yes.
So what ways can this money be followed? So these office holders, those who are meant to dispense the money, would be held accountable and the money would get to the rightful people. Does NLC have any plan to follow up or hold public officials accountable and ensure that the money is, like you said, it was a welcome development, but is there a plan for Labour to continue fighting for the plight of these people and see that they get their money since it's already in the news?
Of course, I tell you this, we will never give up on our pensioners. They are our members. The pensions union is affiliated to the Nigerian Labour Congress. And they have been faithful in their commitment to the Congress. And we do whatever we can to ensure that they get this money. If it requires having to write to the government to say, we would want to be a member of the body that will dispense this money. Even though, as it is now, the government that has the moral courage, the courage to say, okay, we are approving, or we have approved 750 billion, should equally have the moral courage to ensure that this money not only goes out, but it goes to the right people, so that it is not hijacked anywhere, along the line. But as you said, we will do our utmost best to ensure that, the pensioners are not are shortchanged. If it means constituting a committee, government having to constitute a committee that will make pensioners and Congress as members, TUC also as members, it will be fine.
One critical area that we often overlook are people who served in the civil service at the subnational. It does appear that they are worse off. You get mindless successive governors who come in, and the quickest money they can play around with is whatever is due to pensioners. At their level, there can be crisis at the state level, but it ends there. The federal pensioners, in a way, get heard. They have a way of mobilizing themselves and all that. Is there really something we can do to begin to mainstream the issues at the state level? They get worse as you move from one state to the other. Quite a number of states are doing very commendable. I know that Lagos, on a quarterly basis, releases these sums to take care of it. They try to make sure that backlogs do not exceed a year or two. But for some others, we are talking of 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Is there a way we can extend some of this push to the state level to help the plight of retired pensioners at that level?
Well, you have raised a fundamental question, and it is a question that challenges all of us. It's true. What you have said is true, that at the federal level, there is a certain, how do I put it now?
Sense of propriety.
Yeah, propriety and coordinated push. But at the state level, it is not exactly so. Even when they do, we find governors using security agencies to disperse them. Yeah, sometimes even have them arrested. I recall, I know of a state in the North Central. The pensioners had to sleep in the precincts of the government house. They slept blocking the access, whatever. It took a high-ranking clergy member to intervene after exacting a promise from the governor then to pay. And they left. No sooner than they left than the governor reneged on his promise. Yes. So we have such a heart-rendering situations or experiences. But now we have to find a way of coordinating this protest from state to state. That is to say that when such a situation arises, it shall no longer be the duty of the pensioners in that state. We will be able to mobilize all to such a state and make an example so that other sitting governors will know that when you tamper with pensioners, you tamper with all of us.
Is there, before Lilian comes in, is there something that can be done from the point of view of law, to sort of protect this vulnerable group? We know how there is a serious battle to even get local government funds to local government. Is there something we can tinker with from the perspective of labor? Have you had any kind of brainstorming that sort of explore alternative? Because when you move to other climes, in fact, pensions are not even restricted to people who are served in government alone. Once you have attained the age of retirement, you draw from that pool, because while in active service, you paid taxes into that pool.
Yeah.
And so what happens as a system is that the young and viral generations continue to work to support the aging generation. And that is why they try to make sure that productivity is high. The young, they keep a decent level of young people whose energy and productivity would support both the children whose education is catered for free, and the old people who require basic health, who require health and shelter to continue to have a decent life up to the point of end of life. Yes. Have you people looked at all of these systems and tried to see what exactly is possible in this country?
Well, to underscore the big point you have made, you recall there was a major protest in France when the government tried to raise the pension age, either moving it from 60 to 62 or 60, or from 62 to 64. There was a major protest because people said they wanted to retire early, because retirement in those countries is having your life back, having your fun. You don't lose anything, okay? You rest, you do things when you want to, at your pace and all of that. But of course here, retiring, except you have something salted away already, is a death sentence. And that is it. That is why it is important to strengthen our legislation regarding pension payment. Of course, in the present legislation, there are inbuilt mechanisms but they are not sufficiently protective. That is, in case of violation, what punishment is to accrue to the violator? There is, I mean, we need to put that in our pension act and all of that. Even though at the moment now what we do really mainly is a contributory pension, and of course there are also issues peculiar to contributory pension, even as it has raised, as it has significantly brought down the scale of default or suffering. But of course we still have complaints of delay in processing and the lump sum payment, 25%. But of course, we do have a judicial pronouncement in the fact that certain people of certain age could take as much as 50%.
That's right.
So you've raised a fundamental question. I'm going to look at that to ensure that if there's anything that can be done to protect those who are still on defined benefit scheme, to protect them and whatever. Okay. And also even in contributory pension scheme, which will have the benefit of having it reviewed. Yeah. We could still do a further review to ensure that beneficiaries are protected to the maximum level. Yes.
Now, like you said, when it comes back here, retirement is a thing of fair, and you see how it breeds corruption in the public service because people really want to secure their future.
Yes.
At this point, what long-term solution would you suggest could be done to, sort out the bottlenecks in the entire pension scheme, from the defined to the contributory pension, everything that is happening? What long-term solution do you think would be needed at this point to, save our pensioners?
Yes, well, he also made one other point which I find very, very useful. The pension funds are generally vulnerable. There are people, the funds are there, and people just say, okay, let's take some out of it. When the time comes, we're going to be able to pay back, or before they would have put something there. And some take with a clear intent of not even paying back. So pension funds are generally vulnerable, and hard-hearted government executives take pleasure in looting the funds and making others suffer. So to this effect, we'll have to appreciate one fact, that we are either pensioners or we're potential pensioners. And then to have a mental review of our situation, a psychological review. Say, look, why don't we do this thing better? And let us move on the path of righteousness, a path that will inflict not pain, but a path that will bring joy to those who are retiring. Okay? And I will get it. It does not require rocket science. It's determination. And if it cannot be done through persuasive indoctrination, it can be done through punitive legislation. That if you tamper with funds, pension funds, this is what is going to happen to you. This is what is going to happen to you. This is going to, without an option of fine, is prison and recovery. Not only that you are going to prison, that the funds will be recovered from your estate, even from you or from your estate. So, and if you are faithful to the application of the law, why not? People will think twice before they begin to do the nasty things that they do.
We've talked about what we can do to make the life of people who have served this country better. But we are also having this conversation within the realms of the difficulty that this country also contends with in terms of availability of funds or resources to be able to do. We cannot pretend to be a first-rate nation. We know how much we earn in this country. But we have also seen examples in other countries where a little tweaking, here and there, can also support whatever the pensioners earn monthly.
Yes.
In the US, for instance, I got to know that if you a retired serviceman, there are shops you go, there are places where you go to shop from, government shops, where everything you buy has either half the price or even 70% cut. In Nigeria, for instance, can we begin to tinker with ideas that sort of make health insurance completely free for people at that level. And this is something the government manages, so that from the pool of whatever you and I contribute, a dedicated sum is reserved for the treatment of these people. At least that is one scheme that exists.
Yes.
As much as you know, can we begin to have that? Because some of the complaints we got from the phone calls were that, especially with the contributory pension scheme, once you're out of the service and after the lump sum has been paid, the other payment is almost static. It doesn't respond to inflation or a rise in cost or anything. The other man talked about earning 14,000 naira since 2010. With children whom he had not finished training, with medical conditions he's got to deal with. If you are on a diabetic medication today, we did the last report that you will need somewhere around 40,000 naira to get good health, this is to support yourself. So what do you think we can begin to tinker with, you know, to make their lives better?
Well, I think from your line of questioning, I think you should have a pension consultancy. Yeah, because those issues are real. At that level, problems mutate, particularly issues around health. You're either graduating into or you are fully involved in sugar-related degenerative diseases, heart, kidney, any of those organs could be failing, high blood pressure, and all of those things, you know. So, and you need resources to be able to support yourself. Yet that is where you have resource deficit. So it creates psychological problems. It creates major problems. So I think as a response to this, we will have to agitate for full medical treatment as part of the review of the pension scheme. You know, full medical treatment. In fact, as I speak with you, some privileged agencies are already involved. That even though you retire, you still maintain your access
to medical
facilities and all of that. So it is the General Civil Service and others that are yet to key into this. But time has come time has come for that to be done. And we're going to note this. It's going to be part of our demand for a review. Yes, because it's true, it's real.
All right. I wish we had time to continue to dwell on this. When we speak passionately about these things, it is also in realization of the fact that we are on a continuous journey. 1 minute you are young, you go to sleep and wake up. The next minute you're on the other side of the divide, and what you will see there is what you make of it. The reality you will meet there is what you make of it while in active service.
Yes.
This is also to begin to call on people who are in active service to take a second look at your finances. It will not always be like this. So what exactly are you keeping aside or keeping away for when this depreciation would definitely set in, and when the energies would no longer be there to do as much as you are doing now? It's something for sober reflection. We have been speaking with Mr. Upah, the General Secretary of the Nigerian Labour.
The
Secretary.
Thank you very much.
Of the Nigerian Labour Congress, who has taken time, you know, to share his perspective with us and some of the things they will be pursuing in the nearest future. It's a pleasure always to have you join us.
I'm honored.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right.
Do shake hands with ladies?
Yes. I hope we have had the opportunity to bring you value in your living room. We want to thank you for giving us free access, and we'll continue to do our best to serve you the best, you know, from our stables.